Okay, hi guys. I'm gonna talk today about the low-level classes um and WoW for PvP. So I'm gonna talk about uh how well each class is doing in low-level PvP and like the pros and cons to each class, so you guys can kind of decide what class you want to pick because you're going to be in low-level PvP for a while if you want to actually level through PvP purely. So first off, I'm going to talk about balanced druids. And by the way, if you want to know what this website is called, it's called noxic.com, noxic.com. It's a very good website, especially for high-level players. It just tells you the specific builds you're going to want to pick uh, for your specialization. So for balanced druids, let's just go over to the talents. So balanced druids, um, I don't have a level balanced druid, so I'm not sure how actually well they're doing. But they pros for the pros, they have self heals and they can do a decent damage at a range. But I guess for the cons, they don't really have anything to uh actually like allow them to get away really quickly. They can't move very fast, and they don't have a lot of ways to protect themselves at a lower level. So they're pretty flimsy, but they can deal some damage at a range, and they have self heals. Okay, so for feral druids are actually pretty decent at low levels. They can do a lot of damage, and they have self heals. So I would definitely suggest feral druids. For a lower level, they're pretty good. They can deal a bit of damage. They can stealth around like a rogue, and they can heal themselves. But they can't stealth as fast as a rogue. So if you're mainly going for stealthy, I'd probably pick a rogue. But if you really like self heals, um, Frail Druid might be the way to go at the moment. Okay, so for Guardians, Guardian, if you don't know, is the new spec for feral for druids. It's just the bear form. It's the tank. So uh, so at low level of bears don't really they aren't really capable of doing a lot of damage. They can take a hit. They are fairly durable. They don't die very easily, but they just can't move around very fast, and they can't. Well, they can self heal, which is also a plus, but they just don't do a lot of damage, and they can't stealth around, so they're not very good. Okay, so now for our restoration druids. Restoration druids are actually very good at a low level for PvP. They have lots of really powerful dots, and they don't really go out of mana. It's really hard to restoration druids, and it's also very hard to kill them with all of their dots and Swiftmend, which is a really awesome instant cast ability. So restoration druids and all healers at low level for PvP are very hard to kill and are very useful, and there is not enough of them. Okay, so hunters. I'm probably just gonna go over. I'll just go over all specs for hunters. So beast mastery. Um, I think they have a stun. I think they got a stun for their pet. I'm not sure if that is at a low level, but they do have kill command for their pet. But I wouldn't suggest beast mastery because survival and marksmanship can do a lot more damage, and you don't want to have to rely on your pet to do a lot of damage because if your pet dies, and it most likely will, because well, at low levels they can't really take a hit. So if it dies, you're going to be losing out a lot of damage. So I would definitely do marksmanship or survival, depending on which one you prefer. So that's how you like go around in Noxtic.com. You just kind of go in these little tabs. It's pretty organized and everything. Okay, so marksmanship hunters. I'm actually just gonna go over hunters in general. Hunters in general are actually doing pretty well. They can do a lot of damage at a range, and they can't really. It's kind of hard to kill them. They can take a bit of a hit, and they also have a pet to do a lot of the damage. And but luckily they don't have any self heals, so if a hunter gets really low, they don't really have a lot of ways to get themselves, to heal themselves back up. So hunters can do a lot of damage, and they can kill you really quickly if you're not careful. But like if you're a rogue and you just sneak behind them, and you sap their pet, and then you ambush them, they're going to be kind of defenseless. Just make sure you don't get hit by their concussive shot, or you're screwed, or just drink it. Okay, so for mages. Mages are also a pretty flimsy class. They don't have a lot of self heals at this level, so they can't really take much of a hit, and they don't really have any way to get out of tough situations other than blink. Blink is just kind of a get me out of here spell. If you're really in a sticky situation and you're being like completely slaughtered by a rogue or a warrior or whatever, you can just blink out of the way, and then you can just hit them out of range. And before you blink, you can actually put them in a Frost Nova, which will immobilize them. I think it's Frost Nova. I'm not sure. I might have to double check on that. But you just immobilize them, then you can blink away, and then you have a few seconds while they're still immobilized, so you can pelt them down with Frost Bolts or whatever uh, spec you're using. So monks. Um, I guess I should go over all the specs. Brewmaster, they can take a hit. They have some pretty good self heals, especially when they get to level 15. They get, or 30, sorry, they get a lot of new um, healing spells, and they're very mobile. They have rolls and stuff like that. They can do a decent amount of damage. Their damage is amazing. It's uh, you're gonna have a hard time killing priests as a monk, but at least you can heal yourself a bit. So monks in general, they don't do a lot of damage, um, but I mean they can do a bit of damage if you know how to play as them and if you have a good gear. But they also have very good self heals, so it's hard to kill them. But they're not one of the best classes. And also Mistweaver, especially at higher levels, are very good. They're very hard to kill, and they're really good at healing. And they can also deal a bit of damage, so they're very good. Okay, so Paladins, I guess should go over all specs again. Holy Paladins, they're not terribly good at low levels. They have a few heals that help out, but they don't have any really big heals. They have a few instant cast heals, which is nice, but they don't really have any huge heals, and they don't have any dots at low levels, so they're only okay at healing. Um, but they do get a lot better as they level up. So I guess, yeah, good in the long run. Prot Pelly's pretty good at being a flag carrier. You got your stuns, you can last a while, you got really good self heals, and you're gonna be hard to kill, but unfortunately, you're not going to be doing a ton of damage. But, you're not going to be doing a ton of damage as a tank in general, so. Ret Pellies, they have stuns. They can also have fairly decent self heals, and they can do a lot of damage. So they're pretty hard to kill, and they can do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, they don't have the ranged attacks. So if they get in a fight with a hunter, they might have some troubles. So priests are probably the best class if you're looking for low-level PvP. They are insanely hard to kill and extremely annoying. They do a ton of damage, and they have a bubble, well, not a bubble, a shield that they can put around them, which isn't very hard to get rid of. Um, it takes like an entire ambush to get rid of the priest's shield. So yeah, very hard to kill. They can also do a bit of crowd control with their area of effect fear, and they also can slow you down if they're a disciplined priest. And they also have a lot of dots that will destroy you, especially if you're a rogue. You don't have a lot of self heals at low level, and you're gonna have a hard time out DPSing the priest, especially when you have no interrupts to interrupt their heals. But you get interrupts actually fairly early on. I think it's like around 18, but in my opinion, rogues should get them a lot earlier so they can actually deal with the priest's heals. So yeah, rogues. I guess I will talk a lot about rogues since I have one. So rogues aren't doing terribly well. They can do a decent amount of damage, and they have stealth. Those are really the only two things that they have going for them. Um, my rogue has all heirlooms, and you can still barely take down another heirloomed up priest. Um, they can do a bit of damage, especially when they use their ambush to their advantage, and they have. Let me check. You know, when you have Night Stalker, you can do a lot more damage with your ambush. I guess another 25%. So, but rogues don't have any self heals, and they don't really have any ways to mitigate damage. They have evasion, I think it's called, which makes you dodge your enemy's attacks for like 5 or 10 seconds, which is very nice. But still no self heals, and evasion's on a 3-minute cooldown. So when evasion's on cooldown, you have really no way to protect yourself other than running. And running isn't always the best option, especially if you're up against like a hunter who has an ability that could slow your movement speed. You're not going to be able to get away from your enemies, and you're not going to be able to kill them very fast. So rogues aren't doing terribly well for low level, but they can kill unheirloom geared characters in one hit if uh, if they are pretty geared. They also get leeching poison at 45. 45. Leeching poison makes it so. Well, I guess I'll just read it off. So it coats your weapon with non-lethal poison, lasts for an hour, makes your melee attacks have a 50% chance to heal you for 10% of your damage dealt. So pretty much you have a chance to heal yourself whenever you do deal damage. Unfortunately, there's a drawback with leeching poison. It's that you can't slow your enemies with leeching poison, but I'm pretty sure there is a glyph that allows you to is crippling poison. Yeah, increases the. No, it's not. No, but there is I think there is a glyph that makes it so your poisons always cripple your enemy, but I'm not sure which one that is. Hmm. Well, here's a very nice one. Your eviscerate and venom abilities reduces the target's movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. That's really good. Um, that's also nice. I would definitely get recuperate, the glyph of recuperate as a rogue because you're gonna need all the self healing you can get, and also the sprint, the glyph of sprint is also really good because you're gonna need sprint a lot. Not bad. I think I'm gonna get glyph of stealth too. Makes it so your stealth is the cooldown on stealth is reduced by 4 seconds. I'm sorry I'm taking so long for rogue, but I have low level rogue, so I'm trying to figure out some good combos. Hmm. Okay. Anyways, so let's go into the next class. Overall, rogues are they need a damage boost. In my opinion, they don't do a ton of damage, especially when they're out of stealth, and they have no self heals at low levels, so they can't really do a lot if they're up against like a priest. You're pretty much gonna want to avoid priests as much as possible if you're a rogue. Shaman, fortunately, shaman do have self heals. Shaman can also can be elementalist, which is a magical shaman, and enhancement shaman, which is a melee shaman. So the both of these specs get healing spells. I'm pretty sure at a fairly low level. so they have nice self heals. But I just recently did a enhancement shaman a while ago, and he seemed to run out of mana really fast. I'm not sure how, because it seems like their abilities really don't cost a lot of mana, but I guess they do. Because I ran out of mana like every fight, and I didn't really have a lot of ways to get it back up. So enhancement shamans tend to run out of mana. So if you're out of mana, you can't use your self heals. But they do a lot of damage, and they have increased movement speed, and they got your totems and everything. So they're not terrible, but I think they deserve a buff to their damage, and their mana seems to go away pretty quickly. But they have nice self heals, so they are kind of hard to kill. So warlocks, they have a lot of self heals. Warlocks, they don't really have like a reliable heal that can be done outside of combat that does not have a cooldown at a low level, but they do have a health stone that they can create, which is like on a 3-minute cooldown, which heals them for like 20% of their health instantly. So that's nice, but it's on a cooldown. Fortunately, they get a very low level talent, which uh, gives them the option of Dark Regeneration, Soul Leech, and Harvest Life. Dark Regeneration restores 30% of you and your pet's maximum health and increases all healing received by 25% for 12 seconds. And they can also do Soul Leech, which is, every time you do damage with certain spells, you get healed. I think. Yeah, sure. And also Harvest Life is just like your Drain Life ability, except it can be used on multiple opponents. So they have lots of self heals, and they also have a lot of health. So they are very hard to kill, and they have a lot of crowd control. Like for example, they have Blood Horror. When activated anytime a melee attack deals damage to the Warlock, the enemy will run in horror for 4 seconds. So that's nice. They also have Burning Rush, which makes it so you move faster while consuming health, and abilities like that. And they also have like more self heals, like Mortal Coil, which is a fear, which heals them for 50% of their health. 15, sorry, not 50. So yeah, they can do a lot of damage, and they have a lot of self heals, and they have a lot of counter control. So I don't feel too bad for warlocks right now, but they can be killed pretty easily if they don't know how to, use their self heals to their advantage. So warriors, I think warriors are doing fine at the moment. They have a self heal ability. I think it's a Victory Rush. Yeah, Victory Rush. I believe it is. So they pretty much just charge into combat and do a whole bunch of damage and heal themselves and stun the target. And I guess they can use a little bit more self healing or protection. I guess they die a little too easily, in my opinion. But they can do a lot of damage, and they're very deadly at close combat. But of course, if you're fighting against a hunter who concussive shots you, you're uh, you're going to be in for a bit of pain, because especially if you don't have a trinket that will get you out of concussive shot, because your charge is going to have a bit of a cooldown, so you're not going to be able to attack the hunter for a while, unless you do double time, which makes it so that you're I think it's actually Juggernaut, which makes you have a 12 second cooldown on your charge instead of 20 seconds. So if you get Juggernaut, you can charge more often, so you can catch up to those pesky hunters that are, slowing you down, so you can beat their ass. So overall, I think that warriors are doing pretty well. They have a bit of self-healing, and they can do a lot of damage, but I think that hunters can crowd control them a little too easily. Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this was helpful in helping you decide what class you're thinking of choosing. I didn't do Death Knights because, well, as you guys know, Death Knights start off at level around 50 or 55, so you're not going to be able to have a low level Death Knight. So Thanks for watching. Maybe I'll do a more in-depth video in the future. We'll see if this gets enough attention. If people ask for it, I'll think of doing that pretty soon. So thanks for watching, and I will be posting some some new rogue videos soon, and maybe some new druid, depending what you guys want. If you guys could comment in the comment section saying what you guys want, that would be helpful, and telling me what to do. So thanks for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys later.